Welcome to Weekend Warriors, a series of Australian off-road adventures specifically created for the brand new Nissan Navara N-Trek Warrior. This time we're going to head north out of the beautiful harbour city of Sydney to the hunt up for something completely different. A fun-filled and sun-soaked adventure to the picturesque beachside escape of Port Stephens. And while we're at it, we're going to have a bit of a serious play in the sand on Stockton Beach, which actually joins Port Stephens all the way back down to Newcastle. So grab your swimmers, some zinc, a surfboard, maybe a fishing rod and whatever else you need, and come and join us for a watery Weekend Warrior adventure away. The New South Wales Central Coast is one of the most popular regions of Australia, littered with glorious beaches and some of the best surfing and fishing spots in the country. And it's so easy to access from Sydney, it makes for the perfect weekend getaway. While getting out of Sydney can be a bit of a nightmare, once you're on the M1 freeway headed towards Gosford and Newcastle, it's a cruisy run. It's a spectacular drive too, crossing the famous Hawkesbury River and climbing through the picturesque hinterland. Depending on how much time you have, there are plenty of little detours you can take off the M1. For a slower but more scenic route, you can take the twists and turns of the Old Pacific Highway. Further up the road, you can veer off into the Hunter Valley for a few hours too, which is home to some of Australia's oldest and best wineries, as well as a host of gourmet hotspots and boutique accommodation. Or, in the opposite direction, you can head into Newcastle, the second largest city in New South Wales and home to the largest coal port in the world. Whichever way you go, it's about a 2.5 hour drive from Sydney, whether you're heading into the bush or onto the beach. And we've got Newcastle selected on the sat-nav as it's become quite a vibrant city and very far removed from the dirty, rough old steel town that it once was. As we get closer to town, it's amazing how effortless this Navara N-Trek Warrior is to drive in everyday conditions. The suspension's really supple, the steering feels really direct and has plenty of feel to it, and a 2.3 litre twin turbo diesel engine, it's barely broken a sweat so far. The cabin's really flexible, there's plenty of room for 5, and these front seats are super comfy, and how good they look with the orange highlights. And they're heated too, which would makes sense in winter, but it's nearly 40 degrees outside, so yeah, I won't be needing the heating. What I do need is some cool relief from the dual zone climate control. That's better. So we've made it into Newcastle safe and sound, but I am absolutely starving. But luckily the N-Trek Warrior comes standard with Apple CarPlay, so I can just ask Siri. Hey Siri, where's a cool restaurant that's close by and has a great view? Oh wow, this place looks amazing and what a great place for a bite to eat. Well, that definitely filled a hole. This is delicious and cop the view. Easily as good as anything in Sydney. That is beautiful. Well, I don't want to just look at the sand, I want to go and play in it, so let's head to Stockton Beach and have some serious four-wheel drive fun. Stockton Beach begins on the north side of Newcastle Harbour and stretches 32 kilometres all the way up to Anna Bay, which is near Port Stephens. In some areas, the dunes extend for more than a kilometre inland from the beach and can reach a height of over 30 metres. According to reports, they're moving at about 4 metres a year due to weather conditions, and that actually makes them the largest continuously moving sand dunes in the southern hemisphere. The area is popular with local fishermen, surfers and four-wheel drive enthusiasts, and is home to the local Worimi tribe of Indigenous Australians. During its modern history, Stockton has been the site of numerous shipwrecks, and in World War II was heavily fortified to prevent an amphibious attack by Imperial Japanese forces. It's also used as a bombing range by the Australian Air Force, which is based nearby at Williamtown. With the airport just on the other side of the dunes over there, you can often see fighter jets taking off and coming into land, and it is so cool. Right, to access Stockton Beach, you need a permit, and you get that from Warramai Conservation Lands. That's available from many specialist four-wheel drive retailers and service stations in the area, as well as the Port Stephens Visitor Centre. A 3-day permit costs just $33, while an annual permit costs $88 per vehicle. Now all you have to do is peel this off and stick it on the inside of the windscreen, and you're ready to go. So before we head onto the sand, we've just got to stop here and do a little bit of preparation. To drive safely on sand, it's really important to lower your tyre pressures to between 14 and 18 pound, which is more than half their on-road rating. What this does is it makes the sidewall of the tyre soft and baggy, giving the tyre a bigger footprint. Having a rapid deflating tyre gauge in the car is a really handy tool. You'll get it done in no time and ensure all 4 tyres are set at the same pressure. Okay, so now it's time to hit the beach. On this dirt access road, before we hit the actual sand, it's a good time to engage a high range four-wheel drive. And to do so is really easy. On the bottom right of the console here, just twist the four-wheel drive selector 1 notch to the right, and you're in there. And this can be done on the fly up to 100 kilometers an hour. We're also going to deactivate the stability control system, because driving on sand is all about keeping up momentum, and we don't want the computer to decrease power at any time. So we're at the entrance to the beach, and it's pretty much sand dunes straight away, and the sand has been cut up by other vehicles coming in and out. So we're going to have to hit this with a little bit of momentum. Here we go. Right, got to keep it gassed. Easy. Walk in the park with the old warrior. Once you're on Stockton Beach, there are 2 different areas to play on. If you head south via the Lavis Lane entrance, you'll find 350 hectares of dunes dedicated to recreational vehicle driving. Or if you head to the beach and go north, you can drive all the way up to Anna Bay. I reckon we go and play in the recreational area for a little bit. Sounds like fun. So obviously there are no signs or lane markings out here on the dunes, but there are a few road rules. Stick to 40 kilometers an hour, unless you're going past someone that's stopped or camping, then back it off to 20 kilometers an hour, because that's just respectful and courteous. Always stick to the left, just like when you're driving on normal Australian roads, and keep your headlights on at all times. Makes sense, right? We're also not permitted to drive through any roped off areas to protect vegetation, and make sure you keep an eye out for areas with lots of seashells, as these might be of cultural significance to the Warramai people. Otherwise, we've got this entire area to run around and have a play in, so let's explore. This is so much fun. This N-Trek Warrior was just built for this stuff. Oh, yes. All right, so we've pulled up here because look what's in front of us. That is that's a mighty big sand dune. But I reckon the N-Trek Warrior can tackle it. Let's do this. All I can see is blue sky. Keep in it, come on. That's it. Oh, easy. That was a walk in the park. So good. How cool is this? All the people on quad bikes. That looks like fun, and a great way for the whole family to enjoy driving on the beach. There are a couple of quad bike tour operators in the area, and it's best to plan ahead and make a booking, especially during the peak holiday season. You can also go sandboarding on the dunes, and if you don't have a vehicle like the N-Trek Warrior, there are also off-road tours. But we've got the best toy on the beach right here, so let's now head up north to Anna Bay. Oh, look at that! I recognise that place. Okay, yeah, I know it looks familiar. This is Tin City. This was in George Miller's iconic movie Mad Max. Bizarre, but so cool. Its origins date back to the late 1800s when two sheds were constructed to hold provisions for shipwrecked sailors. And then it grew during the Great Depression when a group of squatters took over and built more shelters from scrap metal and wreckage. During World War II, most of the shacks were torn down to build an army camp, and today, just 11 of those dwellings remain intact. Funnily enough, Mad Max was also called the Road Warrior in some areas in the US, which is fitting because this is the off-road warrior. And I think the N-Trek Warrior would be a fitting modern-day interceptor, so let's kick it in the guts. Barry? So here we are at the northern end of Stockton Beach up near Anna Bay, and what a day it has been. And you can also ride some camels to watch the sunset. It's beautiful. It's like a slower alternative to the quads. Not really my thing, but a bit of an alternative. Anyway, let's go and find our digs for the night around Port Stephens. It's not that far up the road to Nelson Bay, the central part of Port Stephens, but there are plenty of other little hidden coves and beaches in the region. As a major tourist destination, it has heaps of options for accommodation, from 5-star hotels to family-friendly caravan parks, boutique B&Bs and amazing houses for short-term holiday rentals. There's also a wide variety of cafes and restaurants for a bite, and pubs and bars for an after-hours drink or two. But I can't think of a better way to wrap up our beach adventure than this. Beautiful sunset, some of the most delicious fish and chips I've ever had. What a slice of paradise, and what an awesome weekend warrior adventure we've had. Make sure you stay tuned to nissan.com.au to see where we take you next.